everyone. Welcome back inside the State Champs Sports Network studios. Redesigned, I must say. A cleaner look. And boy, are we fired up this morning. Whenever you're watching this, we are fired up because the football season has officially begun. Week 1 is in the books, and we're here to talk about it. My name is Lorne Plant, and this is State Champs Extra Point. Also joined by our friends at Bally Sports Detroit, Devin Gardner taking that spot, my colleague Sydney Cariel, and to the both of you, week 1, we anticipate, we think about, we meditate on just kind of what's going to happen, who's going to set the tone, and as always, it doesn't disappoint.
No, I was posted at Wayne State for the Prep Classic, so there's some really good games there. Saw a lot of talent, and you were at a couple of those too.
Oh, without question, I love high school football, as you probably already have guessed, and I was at as many games as I could be, yes, of course. It was amazing. It was amazing to say the least. Can't wait to talk about it.
Oh,
let's
yeah.
talk about it.
So let's just dive right in,
Yeah.
shall we?
it.
So, Devin, we'll start with you on some 3 takeaways from week 1, and we got to start with this one. Southfield A&T beat Cass Tech 56-54 in overtime.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
2 days.
That's how great that game was.
Yeah, that's how we're going to start
Yeah.
this one off.
Yeah.
So what did you take away from that game?
I mean, I have some really good takeaways, and bear with me. I was sitting in the end zone when the game-winning touchdown and extra point was scored. My first takeaway, both these teams are serious. I mean, Division I is going to be very, very good this year, and Cass Tech and South, they may have to see each other again at some point, and that's a hair-splitting game, 56-54. It was an instant classic. So both those teams are really, really good teams, and that's a for sure thing. Secondly, Zeke Marshall is becoming everything that his uncle, the head coach, Aaron Marshall, thought that he would become. He is extremely talented. He's been talented since he was 12 years old, and now he's really coming to his own. 8 touchdowns in the game, including the game-winning touchdown or game-tying touchdown and the extra point to win the game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, not to mention the drive down the field with 30 seconds left to go score with 5 seconds remaining.
Yeah.
And then Tashi Braceville. He's a real diaper dandy. I mean, a real PTPer, baby. He is awesome with a capital A.
Agreed.
He's amazing. I mean, all 3 touchdowns that he had were clutch touchdowns. One to tie the game again with 5 seconds left, and then the game winner or game tire with the game-winning extra point imminent. That was an amazing game. I don't know if it can be topped. You remember Southfield versus River Rouge a year ago? I mean, maybe any game that Southfield is in is going to be like that.
Yeah,
Go ahead. I was just going to say, you hope so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
about time we're ready. Even at 7-on-7s, when we saw King and Southfield go out, it was kind of back and forth, back and forth. We'll see if the Warriors are here to stay. I hope so.
yeah, both
Did you
teams
like my
showing out.
dignity?
I did. I love it.
A real PTPer, baby.
Say it again. Let's bring it back
Awesome
real
with the
quick.
capital A.
We're waking you guys up. Let's go. Well, a second game we want to talk about here for a takeaway, West Bloomfield versus Stevenson. The Lakers won 47-7. They made a statement out there. What did you see out of the Lakers?
I think the rich just continue to get richer. I mean, how many talented players is West Bloomfield going to run out? That's my first takeaway. I mean, they were outstanding in every way. And second, Samaj Morgan is who he thought. He is everything that we thought he was. I mean, some of the catches that he made in this game were exceptional. I mean, catches that should not be caught. I'm just telling you, I played some receiver, and I'm not making those plays. So.
Yeah, he's diving out like Superman out there. And you're not biased, even though he is a Michigan commit.
Yes.
No bias here, but
I mean, the thing is, he's exactly what you should look like if you're committed to University of Michigan.
Yeah.
You know, along this state, there's been times where guys are committed to big programs. You go see them play, and they just don't show you everything that you want to see. I'm sure Lauren can attest to that, but this young man was everything that I thought he would be.
right. And by the second half, you're seeing the ball in the air, and you're like, you already know who's gonna be under it to catch it. It was
Lucky you, Request Vance. Lucky you to have that guy.
You knew. Yep,
Yeah.
easy.
My last takeaway is Andrew Knight may be something. Right, he's a freshman. We talked about it off air, the baby face and the braces, and just having a good time out there against probably the best team in the state, especially defensively. He held his own, didn't make any mistakes, didn't turn the ball over, and I thought he was really exceptional. He could be somebody to look forward to here in this state.
Rochester Adams beat St. Mary's 42-14. Also a statement there. I mean, the theme from last week heading over to this week, quarterback play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they are who we thought they were.
Right.
The
Is
Rochester.
that going to be the theme this week?
They are who they thought we were. I mean, Rochester.
Spoiler alert.
They returned a bunch of veteran talent, including their quarterback. So we knew exactly who they're going to be. And they had a bad taste in their mouth a year ago, losing the state championship. You knew they were going to be tough. And then St. Mary's, they're coming into a new era of football. They're changing over, trying to go from a wing team run-centric offense to more of a spread type of offense. They're trying to get new talent in. So we knew that it would be a tough test for St. Mary's in the beginning of the season for sure.
Yeah, so quarterback Parker Pico had 4 total touchdowns, 141 rushing yards, so showing he can get it done on the ground too. What's the season got for him in store?
I mean, he just continues to show that he's one of the best athletes that this state has to offer. Obviously committed to Alabama to play baseball, but he has a lot of Division I football offers as well. But I think for this Adams team, we'll find out a lot more. They did what they were supposed to do. We'll find out a lot more this next week against a really tough Clarkston team who had a narrow loss to Davison.
Yeah.
I think that you'll see a lot more from what we can expect from Adams in that game.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. And we still had some other games going on. So, Lorne, going to come over to you for your 3 takeaways, and we'll start with Dakota beating Brother Rice 21-7. I mean, Dakota went out there, and it was a big win after losing to Rice last year.
It wasn't a good week for the Detroit Catholic League Central Division. Let's just start right there. We talked about Orchard Lake St. Mary's. Yeah. And for Brother Rice, I think this was a team knowing coming into this game that their star player, Nolan Ray, was not going to be available, so they were going to have to do it as a group.
Yeah.
And again, this is what we love about high school football. You know, the coach for Dakota said right off the bat in January, this is the game that was circled on our calendar. This is what you have 9 months in essence, it feels like, to prepare for and play. So they knew after losing a year ago by 2 scores that this was priority number 1. We need to get a win out of the gate. We need to set the tone because very much like the Central Division, the MAC Red is a gauntlet that you're going to go through year in, year out. Ethan Hamby, he was a confident, great player, pair of scores, one on the ground, nice 26-yard touchdown to Owen Culpepper. It was amazing. They need to do better, though, when they get in field position. They were given great field position.
I was going to say, in the first quarter.
You got to finish.
Got to finish.
Yeah, Brother Rice defense held them to field goals to start the game in their first 2 drives. So that's a plus for Brother Rice.
That will come back to bite you later in the season. You got to learn to put your foot on the proverbial neck, as it were, or pedal to the metal if we want to be a little more gentle, and make sure you get it done. So that's important.
Yeah, Lauren, no foots on necks.
Exactly. So sorry, I come from the '80s. That's what coaches did.
I still use
foot
on the neck.
Put our
foot
on
on the neck and don't let up.
Glad you caught that.
Dakota defense did a great job. I mean, we have to give props where it limited them to just 7 points, dominating effort. But again, the Maryland commit out for several weeks, Nolan Ray. We're going to see when he comes back. Right now, I think for Brother Rice, they want to just see if they can weather the storm until he comes back. I think CC week is when they plan to have him back. So they've just got to, you just can't replace that. So unfortunately, so for them, that's where it is. Rankings are going to drop. Brother Rice is going to come down, but Dakota's going to move up.
Yeah. And then another game that had a pretty good defense in the second half, we have Chippewa Valley. They came back to beat Detroit Catholic Central 20-16. Held them scoreless the whole second half, Chippewa Valley did. So what did you see in that game?
Scott Merchant and the Big Reds coming out and showing that, hey, we are here to play with the big boys. Talk about Division I.
That's my coach.
That's
my first coach.
That's right, he was. Big Reds making a big statement in this one. Very surprising. Detroit Catholic Central, in tradition, looked like Detroit Catholic Central in week 1. Third quarter, they're up 16-6. And it was a young man named Kalen Shaw who did not give up on a play, went down. CC's about to go in for what's probably the ceiling score, icing the cake, at least, considering how they generally play defense, especially in the fourth quarter. Rips the ball away, complete turnaround in terms of momentum, and the Big Reds just take it from there. The Schuster family, this is their 3rd quarterback for Chippewa Valley.
Wow.
Getting it done. Yeah, exactly. He's a junior now, 19 to 25, 182 yards. That's very impressive, especially against the Shamrocks, who typically don't do that. Wasn't enough to change our rankings in this case. Chip Valley's going to stay at 7 as they were a week ago. CC's going to stay at 14. But this was, make no bones about it, a huge win for Chippewa Valley. CC, I think, is going to be okay, but they're going to learn a lesson that, like we said, when you've got the pedal to the metal, you need to keep it there, because in high school football, and we've seen it time and time again, momentum can change like that.
I feel like your theme a little bit has been defense, so we're going to keep that rolling with your next game. Trenton made a goal line stand to beat the Division IV former state champs Chelsea. It was a low-scoring game, 6-3, but you got the win. A win is a win.
No doubt. Well, we said last week Chelsea had to replace like 40 guys. 40 guys. So when you have to do that, that is an entire team for most schools. So understandably, they had guys in there that needed to step up, who are just, I don't want to say getting their feet wet, but are now thrust into the spotlight. Chelsea are the defending state champs and one of the most thrilling state finals we've ever had. So props to them. Props to Trenton. Trenton with a goal. When you're in high school and you have a goal line stand, however you win at the end of a game where the clock runs out, that's the most exciting thing. And, of course, you're getting the shouts of, "We shocked the world!" And you love that. I love that. So for these guys, I just, savor the moment. That's something they're going to remember forever, regardless of how anything goes from here on out. And that's what we have to remember. This is high school football. And those are the things that you talk about for years to come. Chelsea held without a touchdown for the first time since going scoreless in the 2014 regional final against Detroit Country Day. So this is a team that, and that was their team's, that game in 2014 was their team's lowest point total up until Friday night's game. So they got some work to do. 3 points is not going to get it done. They've got Angola, Indiana coming to town on Friday. Not sure what Angola is, but I'm sure they're going to come looking to win. And for Chelsea, I'm sure they're going to want to learn to right the ship.
Yeah. I mean, for Trenton, you talked about a momentum booster here. That win is a momentum setter for this upcoming week, and then hopefully as the weeks go on. But we're going to get into the rankings here, our top 20 rankings. So if you are watching, you can see up the graphic on the screen here that has all of the 20, but if you are listening, we're just going to give you the top 10 and then talk a little bit here. Both Lorne and Devin will have their locked-in teams and who to watch as the season continues, especially for this week. So we've got some movement in the top 20 here for week 2. So moving up to number 1, we got Warren de La Salle. They take the spot of King, who we'll talk a little bit more about them, so I won't spoil alert that one. And number 2, we've got West Bloomfield. They were ranked 4th last week. 3, Rochester Adams. They were ranked 5th. So these teams are moving up. 4, Belleville. They were ranked 3rd last week. King, like I said, they were ranked 1, but they're coming in at 5 after a week 1 loss. Caledonia. Did I say that right, guys?
Yes.
You Michigan natives? They are sticking at 6th. They came in 6th last week, staying at 6th. Chippewa Valley staying at number 7. Davison, unranked in week 1. Big win against Clarkston. They hopped into number 8, top 10. We'll dive a little bit more into that. River Rouge at 9, staying at the same. And then Southfield A&T, they were also not ranked, coming in at 10. So we've got some, that is a good top 10. We got some movement there. So you know what, Lorne, we'll start with you in teams to watch. You're locked in and who to watch. So your locked in team, Davison.
All right, LP's locked in. That's right, Davison. All the way up to number 8 after not being in the rankings. You mentioned that. That's impressive because it's earned. Jaden Flowers leading the way for Davison. 2 scores in the win over Clarkston. Carter Harriman doing it on both sides of the ball. He had a TD run, 10 tackles, and a sack. That is a ball game. I'm sure he woke up a little sore the next day, but that is getting it done. Son, first time in 5 tries that Davison has beaten Clarkston. All right, so that has been the monkey on the back.
Right, rematch from last year.
Exactly. So I'll use that word again, momentum, right? Davison locked in right now, and you've got a Detroit Catholic Central team ready to rebound after a disappointing loss. Then you have Traverse City Central.
So that momentum needs to roll in these first 3 weeks, because Traverse City Central, 12-2 last season. They lost in the D2 state title, but I mean, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Davison will say it, and they'll say it proudly. Their goal, Ford Field.
Oh, yeah.
So they know that they've got to get through this. This is what they want. These are the teams they want to play.
Yeah.
They want to feel battle-tested and ready to make a run.
Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, week 2, they're going to play Detroit Catholic Central at home in Davison. So home field advantage here. I know Coach Weingart's erased last season. That's out of his mind. So
yeah, be a good wrestling match as well.
Oh, yeah, that is true. That is very, I've been to a couple of those, and
they're intense.
They're wild.
They're
yeah.
intense.
Wow,
Several of the same players, actually.
Yeah, seriously.
Very interchangeable.
All right, so
skipping,
who to watch, right?
Yeah, who to watch.
What to watch, what to watch. Walled Lake Western, okay? Let's talk about the Warriors. Moved up from 16 to number 11, putting it on South Lyon.
Yeah.
Senior running back Darius Taylor, 6 touchdowns, probably the best primetime performance maybe of the weekend. Certainly in the conversation, he's committed to Mr. Football. I mean, committed to Minnesota. He's a Mr. Football candidate.
He's also committed to Mr. Football for sure. I guarantee he's committed.
The way, if he keeps playing like this, he is committed to Mr. Football.
Yeah, Mr. Football will be committed to him.
Yeah.
But monster game, school record 345 yards. Shout out
decent.
to shout out.
No big deal.
Shout out to the O-line too. Yeah. You know, you got to have the boys in front in order to make that happen. Drew Votto, also a Minnesota commit, leading the way at QB. Shout out to kicker Max Kirk, who had field goals from 38 and 40 yards. That is getting it done, 5 of 6 on the extra point side. So again, Warriors held a good South Lyon team. Their ground game kept it in check. One to watch, I've got circled week 4 on the schedule. They should be 3-0 when they take on a very improved South Lyon East squad.
Okay, all right. We will be on the lookout for that. So, Devin, your locked-in team, we got Belleville. Although they dropped 1 spot to number 4, they did get the win.
They're not going to like that.
They're not going to like that.
They are not. Listen, guys. Not only are they not going to be happy about that, they are going to be upset because, wait a minute.
They should be
you
number
let the
1.
team that we beat last year jump us, right?
Yeah.
And so they're not going to be happy at all. First of all, they think they're going to be they think they should be number 1.
Right.
They dominated their performance. Plus, their quarterback just got named the number 1 quarterback in his class, and Bryce Underwood.
In the country.
In the country.
In the country.
In the country.
Is wild.
So they're thinking, wait, how do we get worse? I don't understand that.
Right.
But let me explain this to you. We're never going to know until the playoffs who Belleville really is. They're going to coast through their schedule, and they are going to get to the playoffs. And late in the playoffs is when we're going to see, for so many years, so talented, will win all the games, and then playoffs will sputter somehow, some way. So we're going to have to find out who they are when the playoffs come. The challenge, I think, for Coach Crowell is, can you keep your team centered? Can you keep them motivated? Can you continue to have them have their foot on the pedal and continue to get better throughout the season when they know nothing's for sure, but you can almost guarantee that they're going to coast through that season with the talent that they have, and then the playoffs is when we'll really see.
And as Bryce just a sophomore, he is still young. What advice would you give to him, as the season continues and to keep that confidence and momentum going?
I think that he has to be the driving force. I think he has to be the leader to make sure that this team stays on course, because I'm just telling you, when you're as talented as that team is, you can get really, really distracted by all the outside noise and the inability to look forward to a game, right? They don't have to get up for many, many games this year until the playoffs come. So I think that they are going to be strong. They're going to be extremely good like they always are. But if that quarterback can keep that ship steady, I think they'll be really good.
Do you see parallels with Dante Moore? Freshman right out of the gate, expected to carry the load. Maybe the season schedule is not always as super strong as you want it to be, but you got to lead the boys and be ready for playoffs.
Very parallel in that way. I think they're a bunch of different quarterbacks, but very, very parallel in the hey, we won't play anybody, essentially. We won't really play anybody, excluding the fact that Dante Moore had to play Catholic Central the first game, but after that it was smooth sailing.
Right. You get Castech and maybe Belleville has Fortson, which is usually a tough game.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of become a rivalry, but I think that you're exactly right. It's a lot of commonalities, if you will. Yeah.
Well, with that team having a sophomore quarterback, we're going to go to your team, who to watch, who has a senior quarterback leading away, and that's Rockford. They moved up to number 17.
Okay, so for Rockford, I think it's a lot of the same. 8-2 in 19, 8-1 in 20, 11-1 in 21.
Just moving on up.
They just continue to be so good during the regular season, and then somehow when they get to the playoffs, they kind of sputter just a little bit. And don't worry, Mac Vandenhout?
Yes, I was going to let you run with that one.
Mac Vandenhout, he had an exceptional game. We've seen this story before, though. Right, Zach Ahern, another very hard last name to pronounce. Yeah. He was always so good, and so
said it right.
No, Ahern,
whatever it is. Ahern.
Say it fast.
He's gone.
He's gone.
But we now got a Vandenhout who's playing extremely well as well. But same thing. who are they really? And I think we're going to have to wait until the playoffs come for Rockford to really show what they're capable of.
Yeah, and then another note, senior wide receiver Alex McLean had 11 receptions for 160 yards and a touchdown, broke Rockford's school record for career receptions during a game. How about that?
I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's awesome for him. Well, we'll continue to see how the rankings change after this week. I'm excited. I know you guys are too.
Yeah.
All right, guys, it's time for another update in our state champs Mr. Football race presented by Hungry Howie's. And we love our friends at Hungry Howie's. Make no bones about it, because fall means pizza.
Absolutely, and I'm telling you, get that Cajun crust, put it all around the pizza. You'll thank me later.
It's a winner, and so are a lot of the guys on our Mr. Football list here. As you probably see the graphic on your screen now, we did have a lot of teams do well, a lot of outstanding performances, and the gentleman that we want to highlight today is no different.
It's all about those huge performances, and that's exactly it, Lorne. How about Cole Cabana? It's not just what he did running the ball. Ho-hum, just 32 carries for 237 yards and 3 touchdowns. He had a touchdown reception. We say it time and time again, all these years, Lorne. It's all about making that big statement, on the big stage. That's exactly what Cole Cabana did. There's a reason why this young man is heading to the University of Michigan and is one of the big names on our list.
Right, so Cabana coming off a record-setting junior year, 4 touchdown performance, MVP honors at the Zenith Prep Kickoff Classic. Also, I'll tell you this, we had some outstanding performances. That's what the Mr. Football race is all about. And boy, did we have another outstanding performance, so much so that this young man is now in our top 10.
Lauren, we say it every year. These lists are fluid. What is at the beginning of the year isn't what it's going to be even a couple weeks in. And how about Zeke the Streak? Lorne Plant with that one, trademark. Isaiah Marshall, 8 touchdowns, 8 total touchdowns. I'm not going to deny that. You can't deny that. So that young man earned his way on our list. Count on it, bank on it. As sure as I'm sitting here, we're going to have more changes. It's all about putting up those big games, Lauren, and we could not look past what Zeke the Streak did.
That's right. And if you want to keep your guy in our top 10, go to our website, statechampsnetwork.com, click on the Hungry Howie's Mr. Football banner, vote for your guy as often as you can. The leading vote getter can never be removed from this competition, as is Rochester Adams, Parker Pico, and he wouldn't be coming off anyway. So that's the deal. Make sure you go vote and vote often.
Hi, I'm Laura Ramos with DMC Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine. And today on Game Changers, we're going to talk about exercises to help prevent ligament injuries. Ligament injuries are one of the most common injuries in sport. The function of a ligament is to provide stability to a joint. One of the most common injuries in sport is an ankle sprain. And if we look at the function of a ligament during sport, they function only about 10% of the time because they're there to provide stability at the end of the range of the motion. 90% of the time, the joint is supported by muscles. So the way we help prevent ligament injuries is to strengthen the muscles around a joint. Hi, I'm here with Nico from Notre Dame Prep High School to help demonstrate 4 exercises to prevent ligament injuries at the ankle. Start out on an elevated surface. A plate weight like this works great. Have something to hold on to for balance. Here we go. Heel is up. Now this foot's going to come up. He's going to balance and pull this toe up towards his shin as high as he can, and then lower it back down. He's going to continue to do those. He's going to make sure his knee doesn't rock or move and his hip doesn't rock or move. The only thing moving during all these exercises is the ankle. Do enough until you get to fatigue and then add 10 more. Next, he's going to go on the inside of his foot. So he's going to stand with his big toe on the plate and his little toe off. He's going to do the exact same exercise, raising his heel, doing a calf raise up as high as he can, and then back down, balancing just on that right leg, the one he's working. Again, do this until fatigue, and then you're going to add 10 more reps. This really focuses the muscles on that outside of the calf. The next thing you're going to do is stand with your toe up on the block. Here, the knee this time is going to be bent. Hold on for a little bit of balance, raise this leg up, and go up as high as you can into that calf raise. Make sure, again, as you lower down, the knee stays bent and nothing's moving, not the hip or the knee, only the ankle. Go to fatigue, add 10. Finally, finish up on the outside. Your outside little half of your foot, little toe side is on the block, the rest of it's off. Balance on one leg, hold on for balance, and do a calf raise as high up as you can go. Now we're going to emphasize the calf muscles on the inside. All of these muscles pass over the ligaments of the ankle, and they're going to help protect you from having an ankle sprain. For more sports performance tips, or to make an appointment with a DMC physical therapist or sports medicine physician, visit dmc.org/gamechangers.
Do you have a sports injury, or are you just looking to take your game to the next level? Then go where the pros go. DMC Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine. For immediate care, call 313-910-9328 or visit dmc.org/gamechangers. It is time now for an update in the state champs Anvil Award race presented by Hungry Howie's. The coach, Tim Beckler, here as he is every week to break down one of the candidates that we have in the running. And so no changes in our top 10. This is typical for what we do because when you're talking about linemen or linebackers, which is what we're talking about, we're trying to award who we feel at the end of the season will be number one in the state of Michigan. You need some time to settle in, and again, it's not always on them if they win or lose. And in this case, we're going to be talking about a young man, Dylan Senda from Dearborn Divine Child. Not a win in week one, but not an embarrassing loss either.
No, Riverview is a great team. And I did watch that game too on film, and boy, great football game.
So let's talk about the young man committed to Northwestern.
Yeah, he's 6'5", 275 pounds. He's plays offensive tackle, but those big barrel-chested guys. He's a Power 5 projected starter, but those big barrel-chested guys, they tend to move to center or guard to block those big 1 and 3 techniques that they're going to be facing at the D1 level. So, but again, film shows me great football stance, very well coached. Again, great punch, and then he's just dominant. And he finishes blocks. I mean, he's nasty. But again, his footwork is what's really impressive. His first 2 steps, his positioning on run blocks. He can work off to the second level. And I mean, he's a big man. And then pass blocking, very impressive. Again, great footwork. He's got great feet and hip discipline. And he's even good at passing a block off and picking up a stunner. He's really good football player.
Right on. Well, again, this is probably the 21 offers for the young man. This is probably the biggest lineman recruit they've had since a young Aiden Hutchinson once played there.
Exactly, and he is going to Northwestern, and then like you said, he was Michigan State offered him, and numerous other schools, so he's a real deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, what we want to do each and every week in our Anvil conversations is, since we have the luxury of having a coach here each week to kind of talk about it, it's kind of fun as we go through the season to tackle some interesting questions. At least I think they're interesting. And the first thing is, there's so much buildup to week one. Last week we talked about how do you get the guys settled in? What do you expect out of them in a week one performance? And because basically you've got 6, 7, 8 months that you're just thinking about this one game. So let's say in this scenario, and again, this is a scenario where Dearborn Divine Child fell to their opponent, yet they felt they were prepared and ready to go. How do you talk to the team? How do you talk them off the ledge? And more importantly, to your linemen, to the guys who, let's face it, may have not performed the way you wanted. It was just week one.
Right, and it's heart-wrenching to lose that because there's such a build-up to it. But what you tell those guys is, look, a early loss to a great team is not the end of the world. And your biggest amount of improvement in the entire season is going to happen between week 1 and week 2. And you've got to reset them as a coach. And then the other thing with your offensive lineman is like, look, as the best player, you can't say, hey, I had a great game, I'm going to Michigan, you guys just didn't play very good. And you can't point fingers because you know you're going to have 3 point right back at you.
That's right.
You've got to take on that leadership role. It's a unit. It's not you. It's a unit. You are not playing for Michigan. You are playing for your teammates and your school and your coach. So you've got to be accountable and responsible for helping that unit get better. And you got to believe in those kids that are next to you. Because I guarantee you, every single coach, even though the teams who won this week, there are numerous mistakes made on the offensive line. Numerous. You'll call play, one guy doesn't do his job, but everybody else does, the play breaks down. The next time, that kid plays great, and then somebody else, makes a mistake. I mean, it's just, early on in the season, it's hard to block another human being that doesn't want to be blocked, and mistakes are made. So that's where you'd start.
And the false starts and the holdings, everything that, of course, provides gray hair to every coach on the coaching staff. Yes, exactly. Well, guys, the Anvil Award is a competition that you can participate in. What you do is go to our website, statechampsnetwork.com, click on the State Champs Anvil Award banner. It's going to take you to a voting page. You'll see our list of top 10 candidates, and you vote for your guy. Now, the most important thing to remember is that the guy with the most votes can never be removed from the race. So get out there, support the linemen, support the linebackers who are in this competition, and we'll see if we get some shakeup soon. This is going to be a big week. Week 2 is usually when you get those really great, non-conference matchups where you see teams like Muskegon and Warren De La Salle, for example, going at it in a week 2. We'll be able to do some really good evaluating on how some of these guys are performing. So do that, and we'll see you next week.
Well, with week 2, we have a ton of more games we're going to see where these teams are at. So we'll start with, and we're going to cover a bunch, but we're just going to talk about 2 each here. So we'll start with Devin first. We got Southfield A&T against Clarkston. Southfield, as we talked about, coming off that big win. Clarkston looking to avoid an 0-2 start for the season.
Absolutely. That's going to be very bad for Clarkston. But the question is, because we've seen Southfield be such a talented team for so many years, can they come back down? Be at a level that can be conducive to success, because I'm just telling you, the atmosphere at Southfield, I wasn't there for the first day. Luckily, they had the second day because I was able to go to the game. But that win over Cass Tech, did it take too much out of them? Did they get too high? And can they come back down and still play effective football? Or did some of those kids play the game of their lives and maybe they can't recapture that same, energy? I think that's going to be the question. And like you said, Clarkson does not want to start off 0-2, so they're going to come prepared. They're going to come ready. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a heavy dose of Ethan Clark.
Yep. We did talk about that. And then for your second game, we got Detroit Catholic Central against Davison. We touched about it a little bit earlier, but this is a huge game at Davison, looking to start off the season 2-0 for the Cardinals. I mean, that's going to be huge. What do you think about this matchup?
Yes, CC is in a similar position that Clarkson's in.
Yeah.
A storied program. Are you going to start the season 0-2 and you have a tough opponent coming in Davison? I think that CC's defense, as we talked about, outstanding. They're going to hold teams. They're not going to get a bunch of yards put up on them. What is CC going to do at quarterback? Right? They played 2 quarterbacks. You saw Skylar Hunter get in the game a bit, move the team down the field. Who is the quarterback is the question, and you talked about it last week. That's going to be their issue. They have a great defense. They have some skilled players around at the running back and receiver positions. Who's going to be able to carry the load at quarterback? They still haven't quite figured that out.
Yeah, meanwhile, Davison trying to make a statement, starting off 2-0. So
yeah, they were very upset with Lorne for having them outside of the top 20. So, they're coming, they're coming to bust their way into that top 5.
Come on in. Water's fine.
The water's fine.
Hey, not only did they break in, but they broke into the top 10.
Absolutely.
So
they said, I want to be top 5. You disrespected us. Get us in the top 5.
We'll see what happens after this week, too. So, Lorne, with you, we've got Hudsonville at Orchard Lake St. Mary's. Both teams looking to avoid 0-2 starts and come back after 2 tough week 1 losses.
Yeah, what's great about the first 2 weeks of the season, typically you get a lot of these East versus West matchups. Gives an opportunity for fans and teams to play some really good competition before they kind of get into their regularly scheduled conference matchups. So both teams coming off disappointing losses. I think they would admit that, although both face good competition out of the gate, and that's what you want to do. You want to measure where you are. Coaches, I would say from the history of me speaking with them, say, look, week 1, week 2, we just don't want to get humiliated, number one. We want to know that we executed in what we have put in place, and then we just want to do some tweaking and see what we can do. But we want to play really good competition because that's important, especially for these big programs who have to go into really tough divisions. So coming in ranked 15 in our preseason rankings, Orchard Lake lost to the Division I state finalist, 5th ranked Rochester Adams. You know, again, they got it handed to them. They'll admit that freely, 42-14. Hudsonville falls to Salle. We had them ranked number 11 in week 1, 24-15. Orchard Lake beat Hudsonville by a couple of points when they met in week 2 last year. Yeah. So both teams, again, something to prove. OLSM has more to lose at this point. I've seen predictions of a game with this one with both teams kind of in the mid-20s as far as scoring. I can buy into that. But the one just note I want to say is that last year, Orchard Lake St. Mary's was 4-0 heading into the Catholic League Central play, and then they dropped 3 straight. That shows you how important it is for the Eaglets to win early before they get into the meat of their schedule, because as we know, time and time again, it's a really rough ride.
Yeah, tough conference play there. So the second game we've got Muskegon versus Warren de La Salle. De La Salle, as mentioned, moved up to number 1.
Yeah.
We got that as they're on our top rankings. And then Muskegon had a win over East Kentwood in week 1.
So they're going to come at me, but is there really any doubt that Warren de La Salle is not the number 1 team in the state right now? I'm sorry.
I don't know that old Southfield, that old West Bloomfield. They'll have something to say about it, but I'm not arguing.
And Belleville will have that argument.
Oh, of course.
And I hear that, but the way that Warren de La Salle has run through their competition the last 2 years, I would argue that against anyone. And this game's going to be played right here at Lawrence Technological University, so it should be another exciting matchup. And this will be a Friday night matchup here under the lights. This is also a rematch of the 2008 and 2006 Division II state championship game. So
2006 Rojo.
Yes,
he's one of my favorite players. I was a freshman getting destroyed at U of D.
Exactly. That was before he went on to fight on for the Trojans. So Muskegon is coming off of an impressive win, 2014 comeback win over East Kentwood. De La Salle pretty much did what they needed to do against Detroit Renaissance. It wasn't really close, 41-13 the final. Now, I understand I have not really done a lot of looking into what the Big Red defense looks right now, but when I hear it's a veteran group and they're fast. So do I think they're going to keep it close? Yes. Do I think De La Salle is going to win? Also, yes.
One note on Brady Drogosh, did him on a show, the Gardner 5, and he threw a bang aid with his eyes closed. So he continues to improve as a passer.
Elite 11 guy.
We've already known what he is as a runner. So it's going to be very, very tough. Teams are going to be hard pressed to stop a guy who is already an explosive runner who continues to improve as a passer.
And they just feel like no one can beat them. You want to talk about confidence?
Don't tell their coaches that. No, Lord, no, don't say that.
And Dan Rohn has done an incredible job.
Well, tell them to stop listening at a certain point.
He's like, my team is not watching that extra show. What is that extra show called? We're not watching that.
We'll cut you off after the rankings. Anyway.
So we got a lot of great games coming up on the slate in week 2. And the game of the week, the Bally Sports Football Fridays game of the week, presented by the Southeast Michigan Ford dealers, is going to be Oxford versus Birmingham Groves. This game will be played at Oxford High School, and we all know that this is a coming together for the Wildcat community, their first football home game since the tragedy last year. And I believe this is going to be something that is emblematic of what high school football can do for a community, and that's bring them together. That's let this healing process continue. Let's celebrate our kids. Let's get them in some great competition. Let's have a great time, and let's move forward, most importantly.
Yeah, fair. We talked about my experience playing at UD and going to play not Groves, but Oxford in that bowl, kind of like the Big House, not to bring Michigan into it, but that bowl atmosphere. And I remember driving through the city on the way to the game, and all the stores are closed, and everybody's at the football game.
Shuts down.
And for them to be able to do that again, it's definitely amazing.
Yeah, that'll be good. It'll be a good game to watch. It'll be fun to watch. It'll show a lot of passion, and like you said, the community coming together. And what better way than with high school football?
Absolutely. And when you look at the matchup, it's Groves is coming off a good win. Groves was 2-7 a year ago, but this is a team that last year kind of failed to find a rhythm, but that snapped an 8-year playoff appearance streak. So this is a team, a Falcons team that is ready to kind of rewrite the ship, get back on the winning hand. They've got a lot of senior leadership on that team. Oxford had a tough loss in week 1. Again, when we're faced with something where there's going to be a lot of emotions around the game, I think all in all, the kids are going to get out there. They're going to compete. At the end of the day, they're going to shake each other's hands, and they're going to move on. So we can't wait for that matchup and every matchup every week on Bally Sports Detroit. Now, following the game of the week, we invite you to tune in to Bally Sports Extra, because you're going to see some extra high school football. And what that means is each and every week, we are going to be doing an hour filled of highlights like you've never seen before. This is going to be in real time, so it's going to be a real challenge, actually, to be able to get all this information out to you guys. But you, the high school football fan, are going to be satisfied at the end of that hour, and it will start almost immediately after the game of the week. So make sure you tune in to Friday Night Overtime, powered by State Champs on Bally Sports Extra. And make sure you guys tune in.
Lauren, I must say, I'm jealous. I wish I could be there doing it. I love highlights. Who doesn't love highlights?
I know. Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun.
We're ready for it, and we're excited to have you guys tune in along the way.
Sounds good.
I know. I think that's all we got.
I think that's all we got. We'll see you guys next week.
Can't wait for it.
State Champs Extra Point is powered by Lawrence Technological University. Visit LTUathletics.com and recruit yourself. Extra Point is also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Hungry Howie's Pizza, famous for flavor. Alta Equipment Company, Michigan's #1 construction equipment provider with over 40 brands. Get the right equipment for your project every time. The Detroit Medical Center Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine Pros. Visit dmc.org/gamechangers. And by the Southeast Michigan Ford dealers. Think Ford first.